should have seen us going, passing the folks along the road, just as they were standing. All the lads and lasses there, all the smiling faces, gathered along the Scotswood Road to see the bleeding races.
In range. Oh, it's back through Valdez.
1862 on a summer's afternoon, we took the bus from Bambras and she was heavy laden. Where we went along Collingwood Street, that's on the road to Bladen. Whoa, me lads, you should have seen us gunning, passing the folks along the road just as they were standing. All the lads and lasses there, all with smiling faces, gathering along the Scotswood Road to see the bleeding races.
Good evening, people. Welcome back to another content. John Sinclair TV back again, and tonight I've got Shields Gazette reporter Dominic Scurr. If I pronounce your name, Scurr, if you name,
yeah, that's correct. Fine. Yes, yeah,
do apologise. I'll call you Dominic, and well, good evening to you, Dominic.
Evening, John. Thanks for having me on. I know we've been trying to make this happen for a few weeks now, so glad to finally be on.
Thank you very much indeed, my guy. I really appreciate that. And thank you for coming as well. And guys, if you like the video, like what you see, then please hit the like button. Also hit the subscribe. Also, if you like to super chat, then just click on it, see if I'm worth the money. And if you like to become a member, the link is on top of the chat as well. And it should be a cracking show underneath. So I got one from Matty as well. Good evening to you. Absolute legend. Love you, Matty, by the way. I hope you're well and staying out to the heat. I am indeed, mate. It is absolutely warm down here, like. And big up to Davey. Big up to Kevin from Portsmouth as well. So we're going to do so. We're going to talk about Newcastle United and the season starting. We're going to talk about how you felt about the takeover, the upcoming season as well. And the thing is, well, the question I'm going to ask as well is it's the first question about Eddie Howe saying it says a tough transfer window this summer because he's trying to bring in the right players coming in. And is he correct? Or is he basically just finding the right player at the right time?
Yeah, Eddie Howe's always been quite pragmatic. He will say it's a tough window. It has been a tough window. It was a tough window in January for Newcastle, but ultimately got the business done in January. And so far, so good for Newcastle, with the caveat of they still have two key positions in probably a striker and a winger that need filling, really. So it's tough in terms of negotiating. I think there's still that general feeling of the sort of Newcastle tax, if you like, where clubs are offering or saying, quoting inflated rates for Newcastle for players who simply aren't worth that, really, and to try and get more money, because there's this, I wouldn't say illusion, Newcastle have money to spend, but there's probably a misconception slightly of just how much money Newcastle have to spend in this transfer window, at least. So it is tough for Eddie Howe. He is right in what he's saying. He obviously has been the one dealing with the transfer side of things for a large part, and then Dan Ashworth's obviously came in and taken the reins on that a little bit as well. So yeah, has been difficult, but when you've brought in Sven Botman, who has been the top target all year, that's a big box tick. Matt Targett was obviously a big one from last season that they wanted to come in, and Nick Pope is that goalkeeper position strengthened. So if they can get, like I said before, that striker position and the winger position filled, potentially a midfielder as well, then you're looking at a really, really good transfer window for Newcastle. And we're halfway through it now, and I think the business so far has been pretty good, even though it has been difficult at times.
I have to agree with you there, because people are panicking, saying we're going to get players in, go and get them, sort of thing, right? Our name's being linked in every single transfer, saying we've been linked to this player, that player. Our name's been linked all the time, and I don't understand why our name's been linked, or not even being after that player. I mean, our owners been very, very coy. They're being quiet. They're just taking a step back, and you know, it's coming for their story. For example, Sven Botman, we got him, right, which I think is great. Or the Italian media has come out and say that we signed him, right? It's coming from their end. Newcastle have a saying out, and Newcastle played a blind of the game. I think, in my opinion, you need to be patient. The players will come, and it will take time. But which position would you, if you're still the manager, what position would you go for? I mean, I'm saying a striker and a winger, a right side midfield.
No, I completely agree with you, John. I think we saw, if anyone who watched the Mainz friendly today, and to a degree, the 1860 Munich game, Newcastle just in that final third, lacking a bit of bite at the moment. It's lacking that cutting edge. You're looking at players like Miguel Almiron, Ryan Fraser, Chris Wood, who you're sort of relying on good sort of Premier League level players, but they're not the type of players that can take you to the next level, which is where Newcastle want to be at the moment, I think. So you're looking at needing to improve those areas. Callum Wilson's obviously a player who is capable of helping Newcastle reach that next level, but his injury record is a cause for concern. So that striker position is a big one. If Newcastle can bring someone in to sort of supplement Callum Wilson and support and be a good backup or a very good sort of equal competitor to him in the side, that's going to be really important for Newcastle. And a winger is obviously a big one, because you've got Alan St. Maximin probably tend to play on the left-hand side, and then it's who's going to be on the right. Is it going to be Jacob Murphy? Is it going to be Almiron? Will Ryan Fraser, how will he fit into the team? You want a player who's of the same sort of calibre of the signings Newcastle have been making since the takeover. Moussa Diaby obviously fell into that bracket, but the price quoted for him, 50 million plus, is probably just a little bit out of Newcastle's reach at the moment, but still a lot of time left in the transfer window. So we'll see. Goalposts can change, and the situation's quite fluid. So hopefully Newcastle can get the players they want, and can look forward to a really good Premier League season.
Absolutely right. You just mentioned Miggy Almiron as well. I like Miggy. He scored 1 goal in 38 games. And that, for me, I like Miggy. I love Miggy. I love his work rate. I'll call him Duracell, because he just runs and runs and runs every single time. But we need that quality. And the thing with Miggy, right, he just doesn't do it enough for me. But at the end of the day, I prefer to give him 1 more season under Eddie Howe, see how he does. But if you want to take it to the next level, then I keep him, but as a squad player. As for Ryan Fraser, he's injury prone as well. I like him, but at the end of the day, is he going to get us into Europe in future years? I don't think he will. We definitely need a winger, right side midfield. Jacob Murphy, I just don't think it's good enough for my club at all whatsoever. Look, I like him. He works hard, but he just misses far too many chances for Storm, and we need a quality winger. It's going to make a difference. And those names I've mentioned, I mean, I just don't think they're good enough. I really don't. That's my opinion.
Yeah, the key thing with those 3 players is all 3 work hard, and fans tend to generally like players who do that. I think Miguel Almiron's case in point, but all 3 end product has been a bit of an issue. I know Ryan Fraser went through a bit of a purple patch when he was nominated for Player of the Month, Premier League Player of the Month, I think in February it was. And if you can sort of continue that form and sort of refine that form and the type of form he had with Eddie Howe at Bournemouth in his penultimate season there, then he could be a player to help Newcastle reach that next level. But we haven't seen it consistently enough in the Newcastle shirt so far for all 3 players, really. And Jacob Murphy, great lad, really shown glimpses of quality at times, but just not enough. And you're right, we saw even today, on a plate almost for him, and he just can't find the net, and he seems to have an obsession with hitting the post as well. So while he's can be quite effective in games at times, its end product is ultimately what separates your sort of decent Premier League players to your really good Premier League players.
Yeah, totally agree, but that needs to be fixed up very, very quickly. Kevin here saying, I'm not very happy with Mainz results. Not sure about how now. I feel it's being too defensive. Kevin, let's be real. It's only a 3 pieces of friendly, mate. Yeah, it's all about fitness at this moment in time, right? And look, listen, Eddie Howe's not defensive, mate, but each their opinion. But at the end of the day, right, he is not defensive, right? And he's an attacking-minded manager sort of thing. But, oh dear, I don't believe that for a second, but it's all about opinions, mate. I noticed those early friendly is all about getting the team to gel, but hopefully it's highlighted the areas we need to strengthen and speed up. Some of these transfers we need to come in. It will happen soon, Matty. Trust will come in. 4 shots on target, 1 in the first half, 3 in the second half. That's 4 together. I'll be quite worried about that as well, but against early fitness. Big up to Mansell, to you. Hope you're okay. Big up to Tony and John Van Dam. please hit the subscribe button. Close to 3K. Thank you, me guy. Thanks so much indeed. Big up to Truls. And also big up to Tony. Any truth in the rumours? We'll look at Alain Virginus. We are going to talk about a little bit of transfer news later on as well. But we have been linked with him. I believe he plays for Sochaux in the French second division. And is any latest on this one, Dom?
Yeah, the reports, I have to say, are coming purely from France at this stage. I haven't personally heard anything about it, which doesn't mean it's not true. But obviously, the reports coming from France, it could be an agent. This is just my take, by the way. An agent just trying to get his player on the radar of Newcastle, if you know what I mean. That's what tends to happen this stage in the window. And player like Alain Virginus, who's 19 years old, plays in the French second division. I think he scored 8 goals last season for Sochaux. A potential sort of alternative to Hugo Ekitike, obviously gone to PSG, who was the top sort of target in terms of an attacker this summer, who they've obviously missed out on. So it sort of ticks boxes. It fits Bill in a way, but I'd be lying if I said I've heard anything concrete on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to wait and see. Like, you know, you just said there as well that to using our name, I would get a better contract, or to get to the richest club in the world, they've got the money and expect to pay the money. But we're not fools at the end of the day. Let's be real. And we need all these players to improve, so we offload them in the future and get someone back. This is another thing, right? We have got players, right, like Murphy, Richie, big up to Kieran and big up to Jeff. They've both gone. Isaac as well, they're all gone. I mean, the names mentioned, Dwight Gill. These players, right, should be playing football every week, right? And it seems to me they're doing nothing about this. They're just quite happy. I could be wrong on this, Dom. I could be wrong, but it's just quite happy. Just got the wages every week.
Yeah, it's hard. Obviously, they've come from the previous regime where they were handed big deals, really lengthy deals on decent wages, to be honest, and ultimately they get told the surplus to requirements, and it's a difficult one for them. Obviously, it's going to be almost impossible for Newcastle to sell these players, or very difficult on the wages they're on if they want to stay on those wages. So loan options, that's why you're seeing Newcastle loan out the likes of Kieran Clark and Jeff Hendrick, in particular Isaac Hayden, who obviously is contracted to 2026, I think, so still has a long time left on his deal. Players like that, obviously Dwight Gale's a big one. Would expect him to go out on loan this window unless he took a bit of a wage cut and just left permanently. But he's got a year left on his contract as well, so we'll see what happens there. These are players who I guess maybe did get comfortable and were happy just to be part of the squad or train and pick up what was a healthy salary for players who are probably lower Premier League Championship quality players at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a fair comment there, Don. That's a fair comment, yes. And again, you've got to wait and see what happens. And things could change at the last minute. They want to play football, and it's just, for me, in my opinion, just as a hindrance to the club as well. Foxy, big up to Foxy. He's an expert at South Bank football, and we're going to comment about Borussia in a bit. Are we really questioning how over one defeated Preseason to 8th place Bundesliga Mainz? Unbelievable. Preseason's preseason. Thank you, Foxy. Well said, mate. Totally agree. It's all about the match fitness. I mean, some of our fan base, man, real talk here, needs to wake up. I'm not going to lie. We need better attacking options, in my opinion. That's some tools. Mansell saying Skamaka, Zapata, De Thomas, Mendo, any of them up top would be great on the wings. Diaby, Cornet, Hudson-Odoi. We need some urgency in getting these positions filled now. And Mansell's comment, he's asking for a lot of players there. I mean, for me, I'd take Zapata. He's 31-year-old, plays at Atlanta and Serie A, and he's a cracking player, by the way. Skamaka, he's in talks with West Ham United. Mendo is in talks with Leeds United, if that's true or not. But according to PSG, no talks has even been taking place. And Cornet, it's gettable, be probably off to Everton. Diaby would be too much money. Hudson-Odoi, no thank you. I mean, Dominic, who would you take out of those lot?
I think Diaby is a no-brainer. Getting him is obviously difficult, but any player who in a top top European league, gets sort of 15 plus goals and assists in a season. Those are sort of the numbers you'd expect from a Mo Salah, Heung-min Son. Obviously, he's doing it at the Bundesliga, slightly different for Leverkusen, but those are the type of numbers. If he could he's only 22 as well, so ridiculous for his age, really. French international, if you could get him, that's massive for Newcastle. Just in terms of the end product, we're talking about the likes of Jacob Murphy, Ryan Fraser, or Miguel Almiron in particular in that right wing position. If you can get Moussa Diaby, it's just an absolute sort of just another level to what Newcastle be used to out wide in terms of end product. Potentially, if he could reproduce those numbers, he'd be the big one. But yeah, that's far easier said than done. I don't want to sound too negative. Hopefully, something can happen, but it's going to be difficult.
And before I comment to Tony's comment as well, do you think our owners, they're saying they're not going to pay the money now, but do you think closer to the time, if we don't start well, right, do you think that we're going to end up paying over the odds for a striker, and also a winger such as Diaby as well? Do you think you're going to say, right, you know what, we just need a winger, we're going to have to pay over the odds here. We're going to just spend the money, or Isaac for 75 million quid. I mean, personally, I don't think it's worth 75 million quid, Isaac. I think he's a good player, don't get us wrong. But he ain't worth 75 million quid. I'm sorry, but he is not. 6 goals last season. Yes, he's been injured. Yes, he had a brilliant season previous season as well. But at the end of the day, I mean, I will not pay 76 million quid yet. No way.
No, this is a player who, I mean, it's not comparable, but Joselu, for example, has outscored Isaac in the last 3 seasons in the Liga. So it's like that sort of it's a stupid comparison, but that's just to show the sort of level of goals he has been producing. Obviously, Isaac much younger, a top talent in terms of a striker. But I think you're right, 76 million is a bit steep. It's out of Newcastle's price range. I think his wage demands would be in excess of 200,000 a week, which is way out of Newcastle's sort of wage structure at the moment that they're trying to enforce. Obviously, if Newcastle was struggling in need of a striker, much like we saw in January with Chris Wood, they would probably overpay and react to whatever the situation needed at the time. So we'll see. Newcastle have shown they will be fluid. They will react to certain situations. Nothing is set in stone. It's not the budget is this exact number. We won't go a penny over. If Eddie Howe finds the right player at the right price, he will try and get that player in, or Dan Ashworth, rather, will try and get that player in for Newcastle United.
Let's hope that is the case. We just have to be patient. But Joselu outscored Isaac in the last few seasons. Wow. I didn't even know that, but if that is true, wow, he's having a crack season. His team got relegated from La Liga, by the way, Alaves, and that was going to happen to him. I think he's moved to a different club in Spain. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Espanyol, he's at now, I think.
Espanyol, that's it. Thanks for that, man. Tony, bit of Tony Dom. Are we in for Gabriel Barbosa, Batigol, or Callum Rendo? Callum Rendo, not because I haven't spoke to him, but Barbosa could be gettable, 17 million release clause, I believe.
Yeah, Flamengo, obviously, player who's scored a decent amount of goals in Brazil. He's not too young anymore. I think is he 25 now, Barbosa? 26. He's not that sort of up-and-comer anymore. He has to sort of take that next step if he wants to really prove himself in Europe. And at 17 million, if that's a release clause, then that's a deal that could happen, I guess. But in terms of both those players, no sort of formal approach has been made. Obviously, Newcastle have a long list of strikers who they will consider. Those players will be up for consideration, I'm sure. But it's early stages in terms of both those deals, or any sort of striker deals at the moment. They've been knocked back on a few, and particularly Armando Broja and Hugo Ekitike, the high-profile ones, which both those players looking elsewhere. So it's almost back to the drawing board in terms of up front for Newcastle. There will be players that you've mentioned that will potentially look at, but nothing is sort of concrete so far, or any not very far forward at the moment.
Fair enough. fair comment. And he's gettable if he wants to come to the Premier League. And I watched him Spugs into Milan, but didn't have a good time there, did he? 1 goal in 9 games, but he was quite young. Also, Dom, any news on Amini Guriri from Nice?
Not that I know of, no. Like I said, a lot of names will be doing the rounds at Newcastle or linked with Newcastle. Some will obviously eventually come off, but this is not one I've seen. If in a week's time something could happen, I'm not sure, but I've not heard any news on that. No, sorry.
The new Benzema as well, apparently, and they rate him what 40-50 million quid, but I think you end up going to Spain, take over Benzema's place. That's my opinion, but I think he'll go there. But I'm not ITK. Please, I'm not ITK. I'm not in the know. It's just my opinion. So don't shoot a message out, please. Big up to Gaz as well as Wins. Gav, Grandad, hope you're okay. I'm absolutely fine, mate. I hope you enjoy all that too. Kevin's talking to Foxy about Lascelles. Yeah, I want to touch on Jamal Lascelles. Apparently, he's been named captain by Eddie Howe, but I don't think he's getting the team. I mean, what is going on there? I mean, I suppose I think Kieran Trippier, in my opinion, should be taking the captain's armband, but it's obviously Eddie's sticking with Jamal as club captain. Any latest on that, please?
Yeah, Jamal Lascelles will be the club captain for the upcoming season for Newcastle. Kieran Trippier, you'd expect, will wear the armband for the most part with Jamal, unless Jamal Lascelles starts, but you'd expect the centre-back partnership to be either Dan Burns, Sven Botman, or Fabian Schär, combination of those two of those three players. And then Kieran Trippier will wear the armband. Obviously, that changes if Kieran Trippier gets injured, like we saw last season. We saw Fabian Schär wear the armband, John Joe Shelby, Callum Wilson also wore it at times. So it's fluid, but Kieran Trippier, we saw him wear the armband today. We saw him wear the armband in the second half against 1860 Munich. He will be the sort of captain, I guess, for the Nottingham Forest game, unless Jamal Lascelles were to start. But I'm not expecting him to get too many starts, providing every player, every defender is fit for Newcastle next season.
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion sort of thing, Kieran Trippier definitely deserves a captain's armband, but I have Fabian Schär and I have Sven Botman at the back of my defence. But we don't know. We're going to talk about, in a couple of days' time, which tactic Eddie Howe will use this coming season. Keep our eyes peeled for that. Dave, I missed his comments about FFP. The owners, if they overspend, I bet they will get hauled over the course because FFP not like treatment of others such as Everton. So we do not want to be another Everton football club. Definitely not. And even to Rachel, she wanted me mods. Hope you're okay. Thank you for joining, mate. If it was me, I would go for Callum Mendel on loan with option to buy. Now, PSG have Hugo on loan. They might be tempted by that offer and to give us the extra funds for a player like Diaby as well. I thought it's a good comment there for Matty, you know.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting call. You look at the competition even Hugo Ekitike would have coming in, because obviously it's sort of, you'd like to think, a level above Callum Mendel. So you're looking at the competition. A loan option could be viable for Newcastle. They obviously tried to get Broja on loan from Chelsea. That was knocked back. He looks like he's going to West Ham now. So that's another option Newcastle could pursue, definitely. If that was on the table, it's a good suggestion. I haven't heard whether there's any sort of substance in that though at the moment, but I think that would make sense personally. Yeah.
Fair comment. He's only young as well, but Eddie Howe's going to turn our club into Project Youth one day, or Youth Project. Do you know what I mean? If he does that, we'll be the next Arsenal Youth Project. There you go. Talking to Ryan, big up to you, Ryan, mate, from Canada. Hope you're okay, mate. Great guy, Ryan. Always talks the truth. Been on my channel plenty of times. What's the 12 mil a year for 4-year deal actually submitted for Diaby, or what's that more paper talk again?
I don't think that was true. I think Newcastle approached Bayer Leverkusen about Diaby. I think they were quoted initially something like 60 million. And that basically saw Newcastle cool the interest then and there. obviously the goalposts can change. I think Bayer Leverkusen sporting director came out and said, look, if a big money offer came in, they'd be open to selling him. So Newcastle's interest remains, but there's been no sort of concrete bid or no offer on the table, as far as I understand anyway. It's just a simple fact of Newcastle have deemed that one too expensive at this moment in time.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. We've got one here from Marco saying, Telegraph reports that Newcastle will not be signing any more expensive signings. Forget about players like Diaby. Football can change, mate. Football can change, but that's Luke Edwards, I presume. I could be wrong, but you know my opinions on Luke Edwards and that, and few I believe. After today's PCs on wings had a bad game, especially Fraser. What's up on the field? So many people sipping around the deer, and also the cells tackled Joe Willett. Wow, I didn't see that one, mate. Not at all. Ryan's got a long one here, by the way. Icardi, Ekiteke, and Callum Mendel are the strikers at PSG plus Neymar. Messi and Mbappe are their attackers. Surely one will go. I'd go for Callum Mendel or even Icardi. It doesn't really play. Yeah, that's fair enough, Ryan. But Icardi could be going back to Italy. I mean, Monza, he wants him, by the way, as well. And that's a good comment there, Ryan, mate. And yeah, I could have find as well. I'll try and get inside Mitrovic. Mitro? Nah, he's not coming back to Newcastle, man. He's not come back to Newcastle. Mitro's more aggressive and active, I believe. He can't see him come back to Newcastle. Surely not.
I can't personally know. Obviously, he's just had an unbelievable season in the Championship, but he tends to do that. And then in the Premier League, it doesn't really happen for him. This is his season now. I think he's 27, 28 this year. He's really got to prove himself in the Premier League. Otherwise, he'll just end up being one of those players who deemed too good for the Championship, not good enough for the Premier League, really. So I think Mitrovic would be a roll of the dice if Newcastle went for him, but I can't see that happening. Although I think the point about him being maybe a bit more active, a better finisher than someone like Chris Wood, more of a threat, is probably a valid one based on what we've seen, certainly in the past 12 months.
Fair enough. Good comment there. Thing is, I wouldn't have Mitchell back anyway, to be fair. Premier League don't want to sell us players. That's why we don't get offers. That's a debatable one, but maybe some clubs don't want to sell him to us. But, I mean, money talks, BS walks. Excuse me, pun. I saw there were another pitch invasion in Austria. Why did they do it? This has become a very well trend for English football fans. Wow, didn't know that. Well, man, aren't you sweating? Because I got air come on, mate. Thank you for that. Dom, question for you, Dom. Icardi was linked heavily with us when the takeover happened. Is there anything true in it? And is there a chance we're good for him now? I'd take him in a heartbeat. Can't forget about his time at Inter.
Yeah, good striker. I think it was a name linked, but I can't say. I think it's with Eddie Howe, and I don't know Icardi, but from a personality point of view, I just don't think he fits with what Eddie Howe's looking for. Eddie Howe wants the players in terms of ability, but also the personality. Icardi's been known to maybe rock the boat slightly at the previous clubs he's been at. Can be hard work. That's just what I've heard anyway. I don't know him personally, but people like, you look at Chris Wood, okay, ability-wise, maybe not, but personally, very good. Sven Botman ticks a lot of boxes. Bruno, technically superb. Speak to him in person, brilliant guy. He comes across as anyway. So those they have to be the right players for the squad as well. And players like Icardi, Neymar's obviously another name that was linked, just wouldn't fit in with the sort of team ethos Eddie Howe's trying to build at Newcastle at the moment. So I'd say that one would be a bit of a non-starter, even though he has been linked in the past. Yeah.
I think he ended up going to it. I think he ended up going to Italy with Monza. Monza wants him as well. That's what I'm hearing. So we've got. I want to talk about Bruno Guimarães, and this guy came to us in January, and if I just get my banter up as well, and he said he's been fantastic since he's joined Newcastle. Can you see him staying with us in 2-3 year time?
That's a tricky one because he wants to play in the Champions League. He has said that very openly. He's obviously got ambitions to play the Champions League with Newcastle, but obviously him staying for the future, he intends to, but Newcastle will have to sort of live up to the project they've sold him, in terms of in that 2-3 years time they will be in the European competitions, in the Champions League, competing at the top end of the Premier League. So it's about fulfilling that, whether you think Newcastle are going to do that or not. Fingers crossed they do, and I think they've got the tools to do that, but that's going to be very dependent on whether Bruno stays, because he doesn't want to be sort of 27, 28 in the prime of his career, still playing for a sort of upper mid-table Premier League side. He's going to be wanting to push himself at the best, because already he's of an age where 24, he's good enough to play in the Champions League, and he's sort of bought into the project in Newcastle, and it's time Newcastle over the next few years need to live up to that project they've sold him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, since he came, I think this guy's an absolute baller. He understands Newcastle, and the fans loves him, Dom, right? Every time, social media as well. Every time he does the social media, everyone flocks to this guy. And I tell you what, his football ability is fantastic. He's got a footballing brain. And you know what it is, right? He came as a CDM, but he plays like an number 10. He scored 6 goals for us this season. He scored in a friendly the other day. I think this guy's going to be so key to where we're going to be next season. I really do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you saw, I think, only made 11 starts, and he's scoring goals to a level that he'd never done before in his career. Obviously, you might be in a purple patch if he can keep that goal scoring record sort of for the coming season. Newcastle would struggle to keep hold of him, just because, unless they were competing right at the top of the Premier League, just because his scoring record is that good. But even if he doesn't score, his sort of work linking the play up, off the ball, closing down, his pressure and sort of comfort on the ball under pressure is just to a level we're not used to seeing at Newcastle United, certainly in the past 10 or so years. So he's been a breath of fresh air since he's arrived, and he will be a really important player for Newcastle moving forward if they want to push on to that next level. And he's certainly the type of player who's sort of already ready-made to be in the Champions League.
I have to agree with you. I mean, he'd definitely be in the Champions League, whether that be with us or a other club. And if they can get Lucas Paqueta in as well, talking of the Lyon midfielder, can you see him coming? Can you actually see him coming this summer? Or do you think you should stick with, say, Joe Willock?
I'd love Lucas Paqueta to come. If you'd asked me a few weeks ago, I would have said there's no chance, absolutely no chance. I think a lot of the noise around Lucas Paqueta stems from the fact he is so close with Bruno. He's very good friends with him. Now he's handed in a transfer request at Lyon. The goalposts do change slightly. Newcastle's ears may prick up. Newcastle internally have discussed Lucas Paqueta, but not to the sort of degree or intensity with the links that have been made would suggest. I think, but now he's handed in that transfer request. If he was available at the right price, say £40 million, similar price to what they paid for Bruno, then there's no reason why Newcastle couldn't do a deal. But as far as I understand, they are he's merely one on a name of long list, and one name on a long list. And I think the reason he's been linked so heavily is because of that Bruno link, which just comes naturally, I suppose. Be great to see, but I can't see it happening this window unless he really sort of pushes for that transfer after handing in the request. But I feel like I'm knocking down every transfer here, John. But
no, you're not. You're not, man.
It's tough.
You're not. You're just being honest, man.
Yeah,
you're sure.
It's tough. I'm not trying to be negative here, but I'm just saying what I've heard. Yeah, Lucas Paqueta, I can't see it happening, but I'll hold my hands up if he's here by the end of the summer. I will hold my hands up and be very glad, because he's a great player.
He is a great player, but in my opinion, I don't think it's going to happen this season. I think if anything, it'll be next summer. I don't think it'll come this season. I'll put Joe Willock in there. I'm a big Joe Willock fan. He's my favourite player. this guy is going to be a superstar in the years to come. And people might be laughing, people are talking rubbish, but at the end of the day, he's my player, my guy, my favorite player. It's just kids want selfies with the players, which is fair enough. Different grave to what happened with the pigeon base during the last season, which the Premier League and clubs need to sort out. And Laura's been in my chat before. She's lovely. Eddie Howe's first mistake. Themselves given the captain's armband, with 99.9% that don't want him at the club and therefore don't see him being a captain as well. That's from Laura. And yeah, good. Just coming to a massive fan. That's from Tony the Red. I'm struggling to name strikers good enough to come to Newcastle that aren't overvalued and on huge wage. I trust the club though, and so do I. It's captain material. That's from Laura. Bruno said himself he wants to be a legend at the club. All we have to do is keep our end and play the European football within 5 years, like the owners has said. The owners said they want to get European football in 5 years. And he said he wants to be a legend at the club.
Yeah, he's told me the exact same thing. I spoke to him a couple of months ago, and he said Champions League, Europa League, hopefully next season. He wants to be a club legend. Obviously comes with the caveat of the club have to sort of build that team around him that is capable, because he can't do it on his own from centre midfield. But so far so good, and if the club can keep building, there's no reason why he can't be a legend here.
Absolutely, 100%. If you like the video, like what you see, guys, please give it a like. Also, smash the subscribe button as well. I am now 24 away from 3,000 subscribers, which we so made up. Thank you very much indeed. And if you like to super chat, then click on the $sign and give what I'm worth. Also use the thanks option as well. And also, if you'd like to become a member, I've got 52 members at the minute. It's 99p a month. So do consider becoming a member. And Kevin's asked a question to Elliot Anderson. How do you think Elliot could be for Newcastle? I've heard positive things about him. Number one, he's a cracking player. Number two, will he be at Newcastle by August? Or do you think he'd go out on loan?
If you asked me before this afternoon, I would have said he'd go out on loan. I think this afternoon's performance in the final half hour against Mainz, he was probably the best player on the pitch. The way he takes the ball, runs with it, his touch, and this is against Bundesliga quality players for a Premier League side. He's shown he's fearless, and his technical ability is up there with some of Newcastle's better players. So there's no reason why he can't be given a run in the side in the first team under Eddie Howe. But I think, would a loan maybe to Championship club be a better option for him? I think Newcastle will play it by ear. They'll use him heavily in the remaining pre-season games. If he absolutely gives Eddie Howe no other option but to keep him, then obviously he'll stay with his performances. But I think the preference will still be to get him out on loan by the end of August. Ideally to a Championship club where he's playing week in, week out, because ultimately Newcastle couldn't guarantee him that football week in, week out. And you saw just the impact he made. Being 6 months at Bristol Rovers has done for his confidence, because I watched him for the under-23s back in December, I think it was, and he was a standout player, but this was for the under-23s, a completely different level. Now you're looking at him with the first team, the confidence he has, and the way he sort of stands out, particularly today in a first team full of quality players and international players, is just been brilliant. So won't get too carried away, but I think he's certainly given Eddie Howe food for thought after today, and we'll see what happens in the remaining games in pre-season.
Yeah, that's a fair comment as well. And we need to give Elliot time. We need to give him time. We don't want to pipe it up too much. Yeah, he needs the time. You got to give him a chance at the club. Just give some breathing space and he will turn it on. Don't put pressure on this kid. He's only 19-year-old, and I think he'll get better and better. Just, if you see what I mean. And if people in the chat agree with us, just let us know. I know some people say we have the cash to replace Bruno, but you have to keep a hold of him at all costs. I fear Madrid, Real Madrid or Barca coming and it could be game over. That's the thing. If they come in, then it's game over. It's as simple as that, because no one don't turn Madrid. No one don't turn down Barca. You know what I mean? And Kevin reckons BT from two interviews very confident Paqueta would join Newcastle. He was right about Sven Botman, by the way. And Anderson's been at the day. Elliot held his own day pre-season match. Enjoy watching him so far and excited with his potential. And no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to read that comment on that, by the way. Mods, please watch out for comments like that, please. I know it's a compliment, but it's your choice. The Quetta wages might be a bit too high. Hope the rumours for Castellanos are true. Scored again yesterday in the New York derby. And that's another one's been linked to Newcastle United. Castellanos, he's played for Man City, by the way.
Yeah, that's another name I'm not privy to. In terms of a link to Newcastle, again, could be on the list, but I'm not gonna just waffle on about a player I haven't heard anything about.
There's no point in there. No point as well. The next one we're going to talk about, so we're going to read this comment, I'm going to talk about the next topic as well. We just don't feel it's a realistic chance to come in. That's a good question for you, Dom. Who does you think realistically is going to come to Newcastle?
Yeah, people might roll their eyes, but I think it's tough to say at the moment. Obviously, it's quieting down a little bit. Ekitike looked like one that could have happened. Now, I think the one at the moment Newcastle are sort of pushing for, not getting a lot of success, is Jack Harrison from Leeds, and people may roll their eyes at that. But he is a player in a position Newcastle need to strengthen, and he is an upgrade on what Newcastle already have. Another one I've seen in the comments a few times, Maxwell Cornet, who from Burnley. I think, like you say, there's obviously potential clubs, other clubs looking at him, but 17 million buyout, that is in a position Newcastle need to strengthen. That represents good value for money, I think. So I think those are the sort of realistic transfers, that sort of level. Whether they come off or not is another question, but those are the sort of level of transfers we can expect from Newcastle, I think. And then hopefully, if the right player comes up at the right price, this stage of the window is a funny one where it's pre-season, players are sort of out in all four corners of the world. They don't really know where they stand in terms of the squad for the new season. Back end August, it's a different picture. The season's already started. Players who may have not been available at the start of the window or may not be available currently, may have not been in the squad for the first three games. Suddenly they become available on loan or permanently, and Newcastle will explore them. So I think the important thing is, as Murder Gadusi's tweeted, as you said, John, just be patient. We've signed 3 really good players this window. It is quiet at the moment, and the players getting linked on really the type, or the players getting linked with substance at the moment aren't really the type to get fans really pumped up and excited. But there's no reason why later in the window, towards the back end of August, we can start to see new targets emerge, and particularly deadline day or towards deadline day, anything can happen. So there's still plenty to be hopeful about and encouraged by going into the final sort of month and a half.
Absolutely. You don't have to panic. I was saying to people, don't panic. Players are come 7 weeks ago, and like it's the end of the world. It's not. You just got to be patient. I mean, I was like that before. I've learned for this. Just be patient. Then it's like the new chief executive came in. We knew that about him. Came out of the blue, happy days. And with Venja, can you see Sasa Kalalovic coming to Newcastle? He played for Stuttgart. He scored a winning goal, which kept his team up in the Bundesliga. And also Giamacca will be off to West Ham, still talking, I believe, with Sassuolo. And Kalalovic, I think Bayern Munich wants him as well. So it's going to be very, very difficult. He's injury prone as well. Big up to Isla Coffee and someone to Ryan and Clive as one, Tony Aronson to be signed on the left side as competition for ASM. Surely not to the right side. Wow. And we see that on. Hi, John. Big up to Aaron. I think he's subscribed already. By the way, if you haven't, please do so. Caramendo will be a decent signing. 20 year old at PSG, 32 goals, 80 games. Isn't too bad. I think he's on loan when he at Lens, wasn't he? I think he was on loan. He was on loan for 2 seasons, right?
Yeah.
And Jules, you have a good evening, mate. I'll catch you later, mate. Thank you for being a mod for us. Appreciate that. And the question I want to ask you as well, I'll read this one. I'll be surprised PSG would trade with us, given clashes between their owners and ours. Oh, what do you think of that comment there, Dom?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. It's sort of on a political level almost, whether it would happen. I think money talks at the end of the day. If PSG need rid of a player or want rid of a player, and Newcastle have the highest offer and no one else is willing to come in, the PSG won't sort of get the backs up and go, oh, we're definitely not selling to Newcastle. I don't think. I just don't think it'll work like that as such. But it's obviously an interesting thing to consider, that the sort of geopolitics of each club's ownership and the sort of rivalries that may come from that. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be that big a deal if Newcastle were sort of say the leading candidate to sign a player. If it was a choice between two clubs who would offer the same, then potentially PSG may look to turn elsewhere. But also they've also got to consider that Newcastle aren't a direct rival to PSG at this moment in time. If it's a choice between Newcastle and someone who is a Man City or a Liverpool, someone who's direct competition for them in the Champions League, then why wouldn't they sell to Newcastle instead? So
don't make sense.
It's hard to say.
Don't make sense. I see what you mean. You're absolutely right. But in future years, you get in the Champions League. I think the Premier League will hit. That's if Newcastle got in the Premier League. Who cares? We don't care about the Premier League. All we care about is our team. Simple as that. We buy season tickets for Newcastle United. We do not buy season tickets for the Premier League. So there you go. You might have mentioned it already as I joined late, but what's the latest on Diaby? I don't think it's going to happen now because of the prices are tied 20. We just don't think it's going to happen, mate. It's as simple as that. So I hope you said it, and I hope you're wrong. If it happens, then great. That'll be a fantastic signing as well. So I've got to ask you this question as well, back to Eddie Howe. I know it's a bit of a touchy one as well. He's been asking a lot of questions about Saudis, and he refused to answer the question. Can you blame him? Do you think he's right to not answer the questions, or can you blame him for it, mate?
I can't blame him for it. He's a football manager. He had to talk about football at the end of the day. Obviously, I can see why he's getting asked those questions by certain journalists, but Eddie Howe's job is to manage a football team, and there's obviously a lot of layers to it, and obviously he works for a football club who are 80% owned by the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund, so you can't expect not to have those questions. But I think Eddie Howe can answer any question in any way he sees fit, really. I don't think he should face particular criticism for just saying what he basically said: I'm a football manager, I'm here to talk about football. I think he's right to do that. Why should he delve into a subject he holds his hands up and says he's just not qualified to talk about at the sort of level that he's been asked to? And I think his press conference, it was after the Chelsea game, he got asked quite a few questions about that sort of thing. And he did just say, I'm not answering those. I don't really feel qualified to. But then the following press conference ahead of the Everton game, the following game, he handled himself brilliantly. He went into the sort of issues a little bit more, but just said his focus is on managing a football team. I understand why these questions have to be asked or are being asked, but you asked me what formation we're playing, which players are injured. I can answer those questions. I can't answer those questions. So it's fair play to him. He can answer questions however he sees fit. He's the manager at the end of the day, and I don't think, regardless of who the owners are, I don't think a manager has an obligation to give a sort of comprehensive answer on politics or human rights or things like that when he's employed to be a football manager at the end of the day, and he's employed to answer questions about football in Newcastle United.
Absolutely well spotted. Well, absolutely well worded, mate. Absolutely right. I mean, it's like asking Boris Johnson about Newcastle United. He wouldn't have a clue. You know what I mean? But I mean, look, we did carry on with Alex Ferguson. They were not asking that question. If he answers it, he says he's not going to answer it. It kills it dead. But because of Eddie Howe, they just keep on and on and on. And he said it 3 times on one stage and said he's not going to answer the question. So big up to Eddie Howe on that one. Yeah. And at the end of the day, let's hope those questions not get arised again, because if that ever happens, right, I'll walk out the room. I'll walk out the room. Simple as that.
I think they will. I think these questions will get asked again. All you need is another something else to happen in Saudi Arabia, and it'll be all eyes pointed at Eddie Howe, and they will be asked again. We'll see, particularly, I think, pre-match press conferences where Eddie Howe's surrounded by the sort of local media who are more familiar with him. They'll tend to be a little bit more, nice is the wrong word, but they will construct the questions in a way that sort of sets Eddie Howe up to answer it a bit more. They're less confrontational. That's probably the word I'm looking for. Whereas if you go to an away club, Chelsea, for example, the national media who probably don't have a relationship with Eddie Howe, they will, after blood, if you like, they will want that story. They will ask questions in a far more pointed manner, which their job at the end of the day. It's what they're paid to do. But it makes it more difficult for Eddie Howe in terms of answering them. So I fully expect he'll be asked questions like this over the next season. But he's already proven he has a way of dealing with it. And I don't think Newcastle fans have any problem with the way he deals with it. It's more the external sort of national worldwide media who may criticise him. But hey, he's a football manager.
What do we know?
Exactly, yeah.
Still, excellent. I'll ask you this question as well, but I know Coffee got us to it as well. Any updates on a new stadium expansion? Do you think our stadium should be extended from 52,000 to say 75,000? Or do you think you need to move away from St. James's Park? Because there's a lot of people on social media are saying we may have to move stadiums, we may have to knock it down to buy a new stadium as well. I mean, what's your take on that?
It's really going to be hard to expand the stadium to any considerable degree. 75,000, you say, like that is going to serious upheaval, and you'd have to knock down the stadium pretty much and play elsewhere, which Newcastle don't have that luxury Tottenham had of just playing at Wembley Stadium, a 90,000 seater stadium. What's nearby Newcastle, the stadium are like, we're not playing there. So exactly. So it's going to be really tough for Newcastle. Expanding the East Stand is almost a non-starter. Expanding the Milburn and Lee's stands are sort of, you're looking a level 8. It's going to be really hard logistically to do. And the Gallagher stand probably right now is the most obvious one that could be expanded, but it's the area behind that stand, Strawberry Place. The development plans have been submitted. Work is going to probably eventually take place there. So it's going to be really tough for Newcastle to expand the stadium to any meaningful degree. They could probably push another few thousand on it if they really were sort of clever about it. But in terms of getting from 52 to sort of 70,000 plus is going to be so difficult for Newcastle logistically, and would pretty much require the stadium to either drop considerably in number while in terms of attendance while the work was getting done, or move into a new stadium entirely, which is going to be really, really difficult because there's not a lot of stadiums that could sort of cope with Newcastle's fan base demand on the doorstep, really.
Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult now, like, to extend the stadium, in my opinion. I mean, the only way they're going to do it, they're going to have to move it away. But people are saying that it has to be in city centre sort of thing, you know what I mean? If you move, like Arsenal's moved stadium, Spurs has moved, West Ham United has moved, Man City's done it, Sunderland's done it, over the years. But it worked at Liverpool, but it's going to be hard. I mean, there's not a lot you can do at the minute, like, you know, unless you can get that land back, what Ashley has bought, get that land back, but that's going to be tough as well. But you're right, you just said it there. It all depends on get planning permission as well. That's going to be, oh man, it's going to be tough, man. But we should see. It's a mandatory for players and managers to do pre-match and post-match interviews. You've got to do it anyway. In US pro sports, you'll get fined if you decline the press interview. You've got to do it before and after the game. And sometimes they get an assistant manager to do it as well at some stage. But look, you got to do it before and after the game. Eddie's football manager, not a politician. If you get in the stadium, it'll be Newcastle. Cool. Yeah, that'll be fun as well. And let's have a look at this one from Kevin. I don't understand why Newcastle fans need to get stadium. St James Park's most 52k. Bournemouth fans, I'm sure, would die for a stadium like that. Vitality only holds around 11,000. Look, at the end of the day, tickets. I'm talking about tickets, right? I mean, what if we get a ticket situation at Newcastle United? I mean, there's been like problems buying tickets online. I mean, there's a lot of problems as well for members. I mean, what's your take on that? And also, in my opinion is, Dom, if they say they got limited tickets left, do you think the club should tell us how many tickets there are left so it saves the people time and bother? If there's only 6,000 available, right, and you're 8,000 in the queue, then it saves you from waiting, right?
That's true. I'm not sure what the best solution is. If you say you've only got 6,000 left, and then people may drop out the queue. Obviously, if you, it's hard to say. It's hard to say what the best solution is. But I think the ticketing situation needs to get better. I think the club, obviously, aren't used to this type of demand for tickets, where you're seeing season tickets, 30,000 people plus queuing online for 1,000 season tickets, but is ridiculous at the end of the day. But that's just Newcastle United for you and the fans. And then pre-season friendlies, level 7 now open for the friendly games. That's unheard of really in recent years. So will the club learn from these sort of this demand? Yeah, they will. But could it be better? Absolutely, yeah.
100%.
On your point of the actual saying how many are left, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the club could do that or would do that. But I agree that if they did, it would certainly save a lot of people a lot of time. But again, waiting in a virtual queue on your laptop, keeping a tab open, it's frustrating. It's boring, but it's not like it's you having to drive to the stadium and take proper time out of your day to only be told no, we sold tickets out ages ago. So the online thing, it needs improving, but it's just a work in progress, and I'm sure the club will learn from it.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair comment off for sure to get sorted out very soon, because people on social media are not very happy at all whatsoever. They're not, and they're kind of kicking off as well. Just a few more questions before we wrap up the show. I was going to say, where do you think Newcastle United will finish this season? And also, which formation do you think Eddie will use in going into new season?
I think the formation's an easy one. They'll probably go 4-3-3 or a slight variation of that we've seen in the pre-season games. So far, I think they started the 1860 Munich game, slight variation. It was more of a sort of 4-2-3-1, but in a way a 4-3-3. And I don't expect Eddie Howe to deviate from that, because they've had so much success with that. I think as it stands, Newcastle's squad would improve on last season. I think top half minimum. If they get a proven goal scorer in, someone to really push Callum Wilson, and a winger in, then I can't see why they shouldn't be the best of the rest, if you like. Finish 8th, potentially challenge for the Conference League spot. I think that's what they probably need to do, really, just based on the expectations of not so much the fans, but the players at the club, the likes of Bruno, the likes of Kieran Trippier, who bought into that project, that within the next couple of seasons they'll be playing in a black and white shirt for Newcastle in Europe. So that's sort of the area Newcastle need to finish. It won't be easy. I think we've touched on large areas of the squad who are still sort of bottom half of the table standard players, but Eddie Howe's shown with Fabian Schär, Joe Linton, taking those players from maybe who we would have said this time last year lower Premier League quality players, Joe Linton probably even less than that, who are now, you're like, these are players who can take us forward. So it's going to be interesting to see. If you're asking me now, I think you have to look and go, you've got to be the best of the rest, Newcastle, really. But I think an improvement on last season, I would personally be happy with, but I don't think the owners and players would be particularly happy with just finishing 10th, having spent another 60 plus million in the summer. I think, like I said, best of the rest. And if you can just push that European place, maybe get a 7th or a 6th even, would be great. And I think a World Cup, there's that variable where it's going to be a season like no other. You've got that gap where the top clubs, a month before the World Cup starts, none of their top players are going to want to get injured. Newcastle probably realistically have Fabian Schär, Bruno at a push, Kieran Trippier, maybe Callum Wilson if he's in good form. So maybe a couple more go into the World Cup, whereas there's some squads who'll have almost an entire starting 11 go to the World Cup. So that could actually help Newcastle in a way. So it's hard to call the Premier League season because it's going to be a Premier League season like no other. So in a way, that could really help Newcastle and could propel them into that level above the sort of 7th, 8th spot, and maybe towards 5th, 6th type area. But if you're putting us on the spot, I'll say 8th place for Newcastle is where I think they're going to finish.
That sounds about right for me. I'm going to see a 7th or 8th for Newcastle. And you just mentioned there, we should be the best of the rest. And I agree with you. I mean, we're going to give it a right go next season. I mean, if we take our January form from here into the new season and start really well, then I think it'll be brilliant. I think Newcastle will be there in the top 6, top 7, and I hope we'll get that as well. I'm going through these comments very quickly before I wrap up. Any advice for those who would like to take up a career as a sports journalist, and what's it like to be a sports journal?
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's not quite as glamorous as everyone thinks. It's not just turning up and getting paid to watch football matches. There's a lot of hard work goes into it. You never really have days off as such. There's always a story, particularly with Newcastle, just around the corner. You have to just buy into that sort of journalist lifestyle, if you like, which is great if that's for you. Getting into it depends how old you are. Do a course, do a degree in journalism, get your qualifications, and then from there you meet people. Put yourself out there, do work experience, get your name out there, and just write as much as you can. And from there, naturally, you'll get better and you'll get noticed. And a lot of luck is required. I feel very lucky and privileged to be in the position I am. But as long as you work hard and get your head down, build up contacts, and get your name out there, then that's sort of the bread and butter of it. And then you just see where it takes you. Yeah,
absolutely. There's your advice to become a journalist. Then, that's what you have got to do. It's a demanding job. But at the end of the day, if that's your career would go, sports journalism is a lot of hard work. It's going to be tough. Good luck to you, whoever decides to do it. If I was young, I'd do sports journalism as well. No problems at all. And just a couple more comments. We'll definitely wrap up. 2 more we're going to take. Thanks for the mods as well, by the way, for helping us through tonight. Rachel, Tony, Jules as well. And the others as well. Are you jealous of the good work over Adam Pearson? He has had time to do whatever he wants with the Toon team. I don't know if you heard of Adam Pearson.
Yeah. Well, Adam Pearson is what he
Great
is.
guy.
I don't mind Adam Pearson. I'll go on the record saying that. I think he's there to do what he does. I wouldn't say he's a journalist, and I don't think he holds his hand. I think he'll hold his hands up and say he's not. He's a YouTuber. It's a completely different sort of thing, and it's great to see him out there, sort of doing what he loves. I mean, don't blame him over that at all. And I think that some of the abuse he gets is unnecessary and is probably stems from jealousy in a way. But Adam Pearson, YouTuber, can do what he likes, and it goes following the club all over in Austria, wherever, probably be in Portugal as well. So, yeah, that's not a question I was expecting. But yeah, he's. I don't know him personally either. He hasn't paid us to say that, but he can do what he wants. It's just a completely different area at the end of the day.
Big up to Callum Pearson. He's a great guy. He's on the channel a few times. I've seen him live. The guy's just brilliant. He's a young lad doing the job that he enjoys to do. And this one here, not just, the last comment from him, he started it and he's going to end it. Matty D, great show, John, mate. And thanks, Dom, for all the great answers. Keep up the good work, John, mate. Thank you very much, Matty D. And we're going to wrap up there. And thank you for the questions. Thanks for people on the chat. Dom, did you enjoy coming on my show at least?
Absolute pleasure, John. Thank you for having me. And yeah, it's been great. Nice sunny evening now, so probably try and enjoy the warm weather while I can. Spent the entire day just sweating and working hard. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
It's nice. Try and enjoy the last few hours of sunshine we'll have. And yeah, thanks for having me on.
Champion stuff. I'm going for this one. Adam P does a good job for people like me who's halfway around the world and can see what it's like to travel and watch away matches in Newcastle town itself. That is well said. That is absolutely brilliant comment there as well. Well, thanks for coming on, people. Can I just have a chat with you for 2 minutes? Out off screen for 2 minutes, Dom. Is that okay? It's nothing bad.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thanks for that. And I'll be back tomorrow with John and Maisie Shaw. She's a big Man United fan. No, not a United fan, by the way. People think I'm a Red. I'm not a Red at the end of the day. I'm a Newcastle United fan. And people just keep teasing us because I'm a Red, which I'm not a Red, but there you go. And join us out tomorrow at around 7:20. Join us for that one. We're going to talk about our teams. And I should be back tomorrow. And it's a bye-bye for now. And watch what you're doing.